The most powerful Druid spell. That's what we're going to explore in this Tactica. Balancing out yesterday, I pushed up to the BG archive here. My vote, my Tactica for the most powerful arcane spell in the game. Now, I think we need to kind of qualify. When I say powerful, you could look at it from the perspective of just pure meta. How many D6 is this thing throwing out? How much damage does this do? Eventually, where does it cap? But there are other considerations in terms of crowd control, ability, and versatility throughout the entire game. It's one thing if you're playing BG1, but going from BG1 to Siege to 2 to Throne, right, that opens up a whole new way and area of Tactica. Other things that we're looking at, because we're frameworking it, I'm leading into my vote, and of course in the comments, my fellow BG enthusiasts, your vote for the most powerful spell, Druid spell, in the game. We need to look at other area effects. What else does it do? I want it to do some damage, but what else does it do? How else can it impact the game tactically, especially if it's part of a party? And then, of course, other considerations, spell level, which kind of equates to how many casts do I have. The lower spell levels, as I level up, I get more casts. And, of course, without giving away any spoilers, there is some interesting lower level, mid-level magic gear that will give you additional first, second, third level spells. So we get to certainly stack those much higher, more casts per day, more casts per rest compared to third, fourth, or fifth level Druid spells. And then, of course, casting time and other considerations like that. So everything goes into that matrix. My vote is Insect Swarm. This summons a bunch of insects, it attacks the target, and it has some interesting effects. Now, it's not a first level spell, it's not a second level spell. Comes in at level 3, so you've got to gain some experience. But 3 is kind of that interesting spot where as you go through BG1, Siege, 2, and Throne, level 3 spells, eventually you drop level 1 and 2. Level 3 spells, you can get those casts certainly higher number per day, pushing them out compared to the higher level spells. So that's just on that line. As soon as we jump to spell levels 4, 5, and higher, well, I don't quite get as many casts. So we're going to get numerous casts. It deals some damage. It's consistent damage. Now, like poison, but it's not poison. So right there, we bypass a bunch of immunities. On a side note, without giving anything away, there's a couple of magic items and gear in BG1 that allow you to poison the target. Spells also, but allow you to poison the target. They're very, very, very powerful because not only is it consistent damage, it's interrupt damage every single turn. And if they're hasted, they deal damage quicker with it. As we move on in the story, of course, other monsters, other situations that are immune to poison. Well, Insect Swarm is kind of poison without being poison. So we're going to have that consistent damage. It's also interrupt. So it's a great kind of mage killer, or it's a great way to deal with magic users and arcane opponents that are just going to try and really slam you with that. And in BG1, this happens much later in the game. There's a couple of powerful mage fights, but you can navigate them. You can deal with them. They're fun. I have to say, when we get to BG2, skipping over Siege for a second, this is the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons rule set, so it's no baby cakes, and things get much heated much quicker. And within that capacity, some of the mage fights in BG2, by normal AD&D rules, are very, very difficult, which is a good thing. We want to be challenged. But the game has things in sequence and does a couple of things that technically in AD&D rules you would not be able to do. It makes the ability to deal with arcane casters very, very, very important. So to have Insect Swarm at level 3, to be able to cast that out, deal consistent damage, and on top of it, have a way to interrupt spell casting and spell effects, that's big. This is my vote for one of the most potent, useful, consistent, powerful Druid spells. Second to that, we could say Plague, Insect Plague. It's an area effect. It's more of an explosion effect, but cast time is a little bit different, and at a higher level, I'm going to get less of those. Where usually if it's a mage target, I'm looking to hit them directly. The spread is nice, but not necessary. So in terms of Druid spells, nature clickies, what is your vote for the most powerful, useful, potent spell in the game?